Thank you for having me.
So I gave them a little bit of background about you. So, and I think you said you are a mom of two. You actually randomly live next to one of my best friends. Did you know that, Kirsten? Out in Virginia. And Nikki and I met, I would say last year at the New Leader Conferences, the first time I think we actually met. So Nikki's business has really skyrocketed in the last year. She went from a 2-star at the beginning of 2015 to a 12-star. Is that right? 13.
I ended 2015 as a 6-star, right? No, wait, no, this is 2016. I ended 2014 as a 6-star elite, and then I ended 2015 as a 12-star.
Yeah, I know it kind of like all comes together. But you had a business. I remember seeing a post that said, you had taken your business and it had grown substantially over the last year. So, as a coach, like we can kind of brainstorm and think and compare and say, there are so many common struggles that a lot of us have. And watching you kind of grow your business last year, it's a common question is how do you get to that point? So I am actually going to turn this call over to you and welcome to our team. And we can't wait to learn from you. So thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. So I don't have any pretty slides or anything. I'm kind of not organized at all. And so sometimes when I think about how quickly my business has grown and how far I've come in this business, sometimes I even like shock myself because I just fly by the seat of my pants almost every day. A little bit of background. I fell into coaching by accident. I actually had started my own weight loss journey. I had 2 kids and I had a history of postpartum depression. And meanwhile, through having children, my husband and I went through so many layoffs and job searches, and I was just kind of in this place in my life where I had gotten laid off. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I started doing everything I could. I started a blog. I was a freelance writer. I started a cake business. I was just doing everything I could so that I wouldn't have to go back to work. And in the process of that, of having a cake business and having 2 children, I gained 50 pounds. And I was kind of stuck at about 6 months postpartum. I was just so tired of feeling the way that I felt. And I grew up an athlete, but I never really had any kind of knowledge of nutrition. It was always yo-yo dieting. And I was really good at yo-yo dieting. But I decided that I was going to do this for real this time. And so on my blog, I kind of put it out there that I was going to start losing weight, and I held myself accountable. I started using the Lose It app on my phone, and the weight just started falling off. And I was doing, like, I would go on Pinterest and find like different kinds of workouts, like HIIT workouts. And I would go to the gym, which was hard. My kids would always get sick at the kids' daycare. And, I had lost about 25 pounds when this guy that I went to high school with started commenting on all my pictures. I would post my blog post on Facebook so that everyone would go to my blog and read my postpartum update. So every month I would have 7-month postpartum, 8-month postpartum, and I would have a picture, and I would have my weight, and I would have like what I'm eating. I was basically doing everything a coach does. And I had randomly found T25 at this gym, this like little rinky-dink gym, and they were getting together every morning to do T25. So I decided to join them. So I started blogging about T25. No idea about coaching, no idea about Shakeology, nothing. So he started talking to me about coaching, and I knew about network marketing. I thought it was not for me. I could never sell anything. I do not want to be a network marketer. But he did a post on Facebook where he said that he had quit his job as a graphic designer. And at that time, we were going through another unemployment stint. My husband was looking for a job with no luck. We were just surviving off of my freelance money, which wasn't getting very far. So I became curious. So I started asking him questions, and he would send me a video, and I would be like, no, I don't think so. And then I was starting to get more intrigued, and I said, oh, do you think I could do it without the Shakeology part? Because I have my own protein shake. And so he was like, not really. So he sent me some samples. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was his persistence in me, or his belief that he thought I would be a good coach. But he said, Nikki, you're doing everything a Beachbody coach does. You're just not getting paid. And it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me. So I went to my husband and I said, give me 3 months. Let me see what I can do. And I pretty much right away had, this feeling in my gut that I was meant to do this. And I just hit the ground running, and I just started with a really big why. And I decided to make Success Club my goal and get to Emerald as fast as I could. And then just every month I kind of figured out, what he wasn't running challenge groups. I didn't know how to run a challenge group. I had to figure it out by myself. They were terrible in the beginning. I just kind of took everything as it came and just kept failing and learning. And I wasn't afraid to fail. And that's kind of how I run my business to this day. So I was going to kind of go through, it was hard for me to kind of nail down exactly, the method to my madness. But the number one thing that I think for me is so important is doing personal development and visualization. I didn't know what visualizing was before I became a coach, but I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. And I downloaded the Secret app to my phone, and I started doing visualization exercises. So I have a journal. And in the morning, after I do my personal development, I write in my journal, and I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for that are in the present. And then I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the future. So it's really cool to go back, because my biggest goal when I signed up as a coach, pretty much the month after I signed up as a coach, my husband got a job, and it was a horrible commute, and he did not like it. And so that was my first goal, was I have to retire my husband. That has to be what my big why is going to be. And so I sat down with him and I said, hey, because he wanted to leave that job too. I said, I have to work a lot to do this goal, and it's going to require me and you to be, on the weeknights, I'm not going to see you. I'm going to be working. So I'll give you the weekends, but you have to give me the weeknights. And he was totally fine with that. So if you have a spouse that's kind of a little, reluctant, make sure you're really sharing your goals with him or her, and making sure that you have this mutual understanding. Because I see a lot of times the spouses are like either jealous of the time you're spending, or they don't get it. So from the get-go, I was just like, hey, the weeknights, if this is a mutual goal of ours, then I have to have them. So I actually have in my journal, I'm grateful for Ben being home. Ben's my husband, helping out with the kids. And this was something I was grateful for in the future. And then also I'm grateful for having a 6-figure business. And at the time, neither of those things were true. But about 2 months later, I actually was able to retire him. And then I had my first, month where I had a 6-figure business. And so it was really cool to see the things that I had visualized come into play. And it really also helps me when I'm thinking of my goals. So when I say I'm grateful for having a 15-star team. I don't have a 15-star team yet, but I'm visualizing how it will feel and how grateful I will be for when that happens. And you can do that for anything in your life. Maybe you're right now we are trying to sell our house. So I'm grateful for having a contract on our house. Hasn't happened yet, but maybe it will soon. And then under the 3 things that I'm grateful for now and the 3 things I'm grateful for in the future, I do 5 affirmations. I am a very competitive person. And in this business, it's really hard to be competitive because you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. And what you have to remember is that that's only going to hurt you. And I have to constantly be telling myself that. So when I'm writing down my affirmations, I'm constantly breathing confidence and life into myself. I went through a really hard period after I hit my first year. I hit Elite. I had pushed really hard for this huge goal, and I hit Elite. And I think it was almost anticlimactic. You work from home, you're alone a lot, you hit this big goal, and you're kind of okay, what now? And I have a really hard time celebrating my successes. I always just want to move on to the next thing. And I kind of got in this funk, and I was put into this group called The Wall with all these amazing leaders. And I just was comparing, how am I ever going to live up to all these leaders? How am I ever going to be as good as them? And so I took so much personal development and affirmations and breathing that into myself to realize that I did deserve to be an elite coach. I did deserve all of these things, and that I'm only need to compare myself to myself. So if you really struggle with confidence, I really encourage you to sit down and write some affirmations like every single day. You can write them on your mirror, like in a dry erase marker, or have them go off on your phone. Like you can have an alert, and then every single day, have an affirmation that comes across your screen. There's also an app that I like called Spirit Junkie, and it sends you an affirmation. You can set different times if you have a favorite affirmation you want it to send to you, and then it pops up on your phone, and then you remember that you are worthy, that you are an amazing coach, and that all of the successes that come to you, you deserve. The second thing that I like to do is I like to break down my goals. I think when we think of our goals, they can be very overwhelming and they can be very large. And so I tell my coaches to do this with Success Club, and also pushing to Diamond. So every month my Success Club goal is Success Club 20. That's just my goal. I don't always hit that number, and sometimes I hit more than that. It just depends. But what I do, because 20 seems like a really high number, I divide it by 4, because there's usually about 4 weeks in a month. So that means that I need to hit Success Club 5 each week. I need 5 points, and I break it down even further. And so that's about 3 people each week that I'm helping. So if you break down your goal into people and into weeks, then it's a little bit less daunting. You think, okay, I just needed to help 1 or 2 people this week, and then next week I need 1 or 2 people. And then that way you're really breaking it down, and it's not feeling like this huge number on your, on your shoulders. And I always am, especially if you are a leader and you have a team, what I see a lot of my leaders do, especially when they have a new team, it's really fun and exciting to help our coaches, and that can be something that we distract ourselves with, and we fail to hit Success Club immediately in the beginning of the month, and then we're scrambling at the end of the month, and then we're tired and we do it again. So I always encourage my leaders to focus. It's like an oxygen mask, right? You focus on your business first, and then when you hit your Success Club goal, then you turn to your coaches and you can help them hit Success Club. But you should always be first, and you should always be hitting Success Club early. My goal is to hit Success Club before the 15th, and that way I'm kind of a little bit more at ease, and I can turn my focus to all of my coaches who need help. Same thing if you have a date for Diamond. So say you want to hit it in 6 weeks, break down, you need 8 coaches of your own, but 12 total, because you need the Emerald. So you could break that down into 2 coaches each week. And if you are having your monthly groups, then hopefully you have a funnel of people. So the way that I have kind of built my business is just every single month I'm running I have my Success Club goal. I have hopefully a successful challenge group. They're not all successful. I've had to shut some down, so don't think that they're all perfect. And then from that group, I'm aiming to, convert a few of those customers into coaches, especially if they have a good experience, if they're having great results. And that's kind of like how my business is just always run. And I actually, at the NLC, when Melanie talked, because I was kind of just randomly having groups. Sometimes I would have 2 groups a month. I never really had a date. I would just be like, oh, okay, I guess I better have a date coming up. Like, I'm not a planner. I'm not, I don't have that teacher mindset where I'm organized at all. So I listened to her talk, and she was like, at the 3rd Monday of every month, I have my challenge group. And I was like, I'm going to do that. 3rd Monday of every month. That way I get all my Success Club points in at the beginning of the month, and then I start my groups. And so I've been doing that for a year now, since NLC, and it's really been helpful. I also decided to do, I have enlisted my leaders on my team to help me, but every 2 weeks we do a sneak peek into coaching, and then the week following that sneak peek, we have a new coach training. So we have a new coach training every 2 weeks. So that way, when we have new coaches coming in, there's always a group to put them into. I was doing self-paced training for a while, where I created like a whole group and you did it on your own. It bombed. It just was not good. I was not seeing people actually doing them. I think they needed the interaction of Facebook. And so you just have to, figure out what works for you. And a lot of times what I see people do is when they think something isn't working, they go and change everything. Or, you know, they get into these other groups and they change everything and they think, I have to change everything. I have to change everything. And so I did with the self-paced thing, I was like, oh, I should do that because so-and-so is doing that and it's doing really well for her. And in reality, it did not work for my team. And so I had to go back to the training, and I do a 30-day training, and I cannot tell you how many times in the past month where I've had people be like, oh, I have a 15-day training, or I have a 10-day coach training. It's so great. Or I've been so close to being like, oh, can I see your training? Like how is it so short? And I want to change it. And I'm like, no, Nikki, just stick to your training and just, it's working. Do not change it. So if you find something that works, just stay the course, put on your blinders and do it, and stay with it. So the monthly groups is just kind of what I've been doing for the past year, and it's just been really working for me and my team. And that's how I train all my coaches too. I have them in a first challenge group with me, and then I let them do another one if they think they need that, and then I encourage them to do their own challenge group. And it's up to them whether they want to require Shakeology or not. I have a separate group where I put people that don't want Shakeology, but for my one-on-one challenge groups, I do require a challenge pack. And I get, people are like, how do you combat the objections of Shakeology? And I just really feel like I give a good value of what they're getting. So I'm telling them, like, if they ask me what the price is, I never respond right away. I'm like, what are your goals? Or, I'm always talking around the question of the money, because people, if they want something bad enough, if they have enough of an emotional connection, then they're going to purchase the challenge pack when they realize that it is worth the money. And especially when you use the feel, felt, found method, which is what I use a lot, is like, because when I did sign up to be a coach, like I had no money. So I always say, I know exactly how you feel. I couldn't afford it either. But what I found was when I invested in myself, I took the program more seriously, I had better results, and I would have paid $500 for what I got, because I literally have spent my whole entire life yo-yo dieting, and now post kids, I'm smaller and more in shape and healthier than I ever have been in my whole life. So if you just really speak your truth and your experience of what you have gotten with the coach opportunity or with the products, people are going to feel that truth come through the computer. They're going to, or if you get so number 4, going back to that, I'm always inviting and I'm always connecting. So I know one of the 3 vital behaviors is invite, invite, invite. And I always tell my coaches, because sometimes that can be really overwhelming to think, oh my gosh, I have to invite somebody every day. I say connect, connect, connect. You should always be connecting with people on Facebook and adding people to your network. I actually have a video on my YouTube that's called Expanding Your Network. And I go through ways to do it, through groups, through friend requests, through actually it is through your significant other. If you go to their Facebook, and so for example, my husband and I didn't meet until after college, so he has this whole world of friends that he went to high school with and college with that I don't really know them. So I would go to his Facebook and start friend requesting the girls that he went to school with, because most of them are in my niche. They're moms, and they won't think it's weird that, they won't think I'm a stranger. I'm Ben's wife. So I have a lot of people that have come to me that I've friend requested, and they'll see a challenge group post and they'll be like, hey, I know we've never met, but I went to high school with Ben and I'm interested in your challenge group. So that's one of my favorite ways to add people, and it's usually untapped. And then building cold markets. So I have my like page, I have Instagram. My like page is my biggest place that I connect with people. And it was kind of a learning experience for me, because I was not really posting. I was kind of posting viral things and quotes and stuff. And it really took me being myself and sharing myself for my audience to connect to me and to really find the people, my people. And I know Katie spoke on my team call about this. She's, got a great like page. And so it's really all about being yourself and sharing your vulnerabilities. And that's the best way that you're going to have people kind of come to you. And there's also this video, I don't know if you've seen it, Katie, but I don't even know who did it, but it's called the A to Z invite system. And I will share it with you. It's amazing. My coaches love it. You basically go through your Facebook friends list, and if you're consistently adding 3 to 5 new people every day on Facebook, you can go through this A to Z list. You just go to your friends list and you type in like AA, then you type in AB and AC, and you go through the alphabet that way and just start connecting with all the people. It's a good way to clean up your list too if you have people that you don't want to be friends with anymore. And you're just connecting with people, going and writing on their pictures, or just shooting them a note and reminding them of something that, that you were connected with in their past. And it's a great way to have it's a great system, if you will. Some of us need systems. Like, I don't have the best systems, but it's been amazing for my team and having that connection. And sometimes when you reach out to people and talk to them, Beachbody won't come up, and that's okay. But at least you're connecting with them and making them feel better and making a deposit, if you will, into their life. And making sure that if you have lists on Facebook, I use Facebook lists, and I have prospect lists. So what I do to keep track of people, because my hardest thing with being an unorganized person is tracking. And the fortune is in the follow-up in this business. And if you're not keeping track of people, you are losing people. I am guilty of that, and sometimes I still am. But I have a prospect list that I keep on Facebook I can go to. And so what happens is you click on the list, and then your whole timeline fills with those people. So you can kind of go through the timeline and comment on their stuff through that way. But the other thing that I have, so all of last year, I have this notebook, and all I do in this notebook is I write down, so this is from last year, so it says like March challenge group, and then I would have like coach potentials. And anytime any person I talk to about a challenge group or coaching, I would just write down their name. And so then you can see like the check marks next to them when they would purchase their program. So what I do with my challenge groups is, so say somebody's interested in joining my next challenge group. So my next challenge group will be in March because my February one already started. I'll write down their name, and then I go back through all of these people, that never purchased or joined as a coach, and I'll go back to them and invite them and say, I have a spot for you in my group. But also what I'll do is I put them in my first week of my group. It's called a prep week. I put them in the group. And that's another way that I'm showing them the value of what they're going to get. So they're in the group for the first week. They can see, that there's a group that I'm adding, value to their lives, and I'm going to be in there every single day. And on, Wednesday of the group, I encourage them to, if they want their pack in time, they should probably order today. And then by Friday, if they haven't decided, then I just send them a message and I tell them that I have to remove them from the group, but I'll save them a spot for when they're ready for my next group. So that's another way that I really try to seal the deal with people, is to give them a little peek into what they're going to get when they purchase a challenge pack through me. But this is the only way that I was able to keep track of. So I just have like this with me all the time. And then I was constantly just going back through all the people that I talked to and following up with them every single month. Then I was introduced to Streak. It is on Gmail. It's Google Streak. And there's actually, her name is Brooke Lipoff. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She has some amazing tutorials. And my problem with systems is that I don't always go back to them because I'm just like a procrastinator. But it has this amazing feature where you can set a little alarm. So when you are sending so I've been moving almost everything to email. If anything is in my Facebook Messenger, like I totally lose track of it. But so what I do with people on my like page, if I'm running an ad and they comment on it and they're like, can I have more details? I send them a message and I say, oh, can you send me your email address so I can send you some more information? Then I have their email address, and then I can add them to my streak. And you don't need email addresses to do streak, but for me it's easier because when you're writing a message, you can set this little alarm and you can pick the date that it will pop back up in your inbox if somebody didn't respond to it. So sometimes I'll forget. I'll be like, oh my gosh, that person never responded to me, and it'll just pop back in my inbox it shows like a new email. And then I can just write back and be like, hey, just wanted to check in. You can also store your scripts on there. So when I run a constant 21-day fix ad on Facebook to get new challengers. And so when I am emailing a script for the beginning to figure out, their goals and stuff. So I just can click like one button and then I send it to them. And also another cool thing that Streak does is that you can send one email, but you can personalize it so it looks like you're sending individual emails. So I can send over 100 emails at one time that looks like an email that I'm just sending to that one person. So it looks personalized. It looks like I took, hours out of my day to message all of these people, but really it took me 5 minutes because I don't have a lot of time. I got 2 kids and, I would spend hours messaging and emailing people, but now that I move over to Streak, it takes me a lot less time. So Streak is my new thing. I'm still trying to perfect it, but I have tried Asana. I have tried Google Docs, and I just procrastinate and don't update them. And so this is like the biggest thing that has been so helpful to me. But I have 2 challenges for you before I get off my little spiel. So my first challenge to you is to go back through. So go back to when you first started coaching in your Facebook Messenger, and then write down every single person that told you no, and write their name down. And then there is a list for you to start with to follow up with. And I can't remember the stat, but I think it was something like it takes almost 8 times before somebody's going to say yes to you. And that's with anything, I think Melanie actually used a shampoo commercial as an example at the NLC when she was talking about how many times people need to see things. And then my second challenge to you is when you hit your Success Club goal, I want you to push beyond that goal and to keep going, because I see a lot of people hold off until so that they can hit Success Club again. But one of the biggest things that I heard as a new coach was the law of abundance. And if you believe that you're going to have abundance, then more will come to you. And the more people that you help, the more people will come to you. So those are my 2 challenges to you. And I just really want to say, like, it doesn't matter if you're organized, if you're not, as long as you're being vulnerable, you're sharing your story, and you're really connecting with people, and you're persistent, then you can hit Success Club, you can reach any goal, and just fail forward. And that is all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, stick around.
Cool. So I do have a question for you. And I tell people that too, that I never hold people off. Like I don't, like it does never ever since the beginning. I have never held people off for that very reason, but I never verbalized it that way. You worded it perfectly. So thank you so much for all of your content, your information. My question for you is, are there certain trainings that you invested in, because you talked a lot about personal development, that kind of were like, this was definitely worth it?
So I do, the one thing that I did invest in, I went to Unleash the Power Within in September of this past year, which was like amazing. But I do a lot of like the Darren Dailies and the Marie Forleo, like any like free PD that I can get in my inbox, because that's something that it's easily put off. And so I just have to find, like, if it comes in my inbox, then I have to do it, especially the Darren Daily. It's like a 5-minute thing every morning that comes into your inbox, and he's so great. I love him. And then just doing, YouTube. And what I do sometimes is, like, if I'm folding laundry, instead of watching TV, I listen to personal development. I also listen to the National Wake Up Call that way too. So I'll like go in my room where I don't have a TV, because if I'm by the TV, I'll watch TV. So I have to like get away from it.
Yeah.
But that's how I get my PD. And I do like reading. Like You Are a Badass was one of my favorite books. I just love that one.
Cool. What other questions do you guys have for Nikki? Does anyone want to unmute? Anyone want to ask her questions? I am going to finish with one question to make you think for a second. Put you on the spot. Anyone else?
Hey, Nikki, I just have a quick question. How many coaches are you signing per month? I mean, you're hitting Success Club 20. So I think it's obvious that by hitting Success Club 20, that's really been helpful in moving your business forward fast. I think like that's what I usually try to tell my coaches. If you want to make money fast, then hit a lot of Success Club points. But like, are you signing coaches up initially as a challenge pack, or are you converting a lot of them? Is it a mix of both? Like, and how many are you recruiting a month?
So my goal is usually 10. I don't always hit that goal, and I think only a couple times I've gone higher. But I'm not I usually convert them midway through the challenge group. So I'm not a big like, oh, you should sign up to coach, I've never been really good at doing it that way. So I'm more of a converting like midway through the challenge group. But I also talk about the business a lot. And so I try to, whenever I'm writing a post, so Bonnie Engel's my success partner, and she is really at like making every single post kind of like an invite. So whenever I'm about to post something, I always think, okay, how would Bonnie say it? And then I'll like twist my post and try to make it into like a coach invite, or like, how is this related to coaching, or how can this help somebody want to become a coach? And so I now have a lot of people that come to me for the business opportunity who've never even been in a challenge group or even tried Shakeology. They just, I guess, have watched me for a while and seen that and then trust me. So they join that way, or they at least, get in a sneak peek, and the sneak peek kind of seals the deal for them. But having doing a lot of the invites on Facebook, like publicly, has been really helpful for my business too.
Nikki, you may have said this, but how long have you been a coach?
I signed up in October of 2013. So 2.5 years almost.
So a year into the business, where were you like a year in?
I was aiming to be a 5-star a year in, and I was like, I think a 4-star, almost 5. I ended that year as a 6-star, but that was my goal, was 5-star.
Okay. Thank you.
And you have to remember too, because I think sometimes we kind of go, oh gosh, but she's so much further than me, because I know like that can be hard too, like when you hear how she did it. But remember too that this is your journey. So take snippets of what she said, and don't say to yourself, I have to change everything. I have to do this streak. I have to do this A to Z. That's not how it works. And just like Nikki said, she has to keep herself in check too whenever she's like, well, this is working for them. Maybe I should change everything that I'm doing. I think that was probably a big point that you made as well, is you can't do it how everybody else is doing it all the time.
Yeah. And also, if you think about my story, I really was coaching almost 6 months before I signed up to coach. I was doing everything. So I had kind of built up that people saw me losing weight. They saw me doing T25. When I signed up to coach and said, I'm going to do a challenge group with T25, like I had Success Club 16 like that, because I had already built up all of that trust with my blog and my pictures and everything. So that's why I like to share my story, because I'm like, it's not like I'm starting my weight loss journey right as a new coach, and having to build all that trust with people. People already were connected to me through my blog. So
right.
I don't think I would have been able to build as quickly had I not had that.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. There's always more to it. Okay. So to end, because we're just about out of time, Nikki, I am going to put you on the spot.
Oh, no.
What are 3 truths and 1 lie about the Beachbody coaching business?
Oh, okay. 3 truths and 1 lie. Okay. So, oh my God, this is hard. I wish you would have told me earlier.
I should have, but I was just thinking about that, because I did a call last night on it for somebody else, and I thought of that. Like, what are 3 things that have been true that somebody has told you that have been absolutely fact, and 1 lie?
Okay. 1 lie is that it's easy. And let's see, 3 truths. You have to do personal development. Like, there's no way around it, because I thought in the beginning that I didn't have to do it. So yeah, that's a truth. I think the truth is, if you lead from your heart, that you will find success and that you will find people that are most like you. If you try to be like other people, then you're going to attract people that you don't want on your team. And then what's another truth? Hustle and heart. That's going to get you where you want to be. It's all about the hustle.
Cool. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for your tips and advice and being on our call tonight. We really appreciate your time. Do you guys have any other questions? All right, team. So I'm going to have a little call to action within the team page as well. Thank you, Nikki, for the call, and I will see you guys later. Have a great week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See ya.